Hello, I'm Mich Turner, and in association with Silver Spoon Create, I would love to tell you about my Madagascan vanilla sugar paste, also known as ready-to-roll icing. I've covered lots of cakes, and one of the questions I'm often asked is how do you get it so brilliantly finished, so flawless? Now the key is obviously having a great baked cake, perfect canvas by having a first layer of marzipan, but then the top coat really comes as the pièce de résistance. With this particular sugar paste, ready-to-roll icing, I've created this wonderful Madagascan vanilla flavour to be imparted into the sugar paste itself. It has a lovely texture but lovely flavour. One of the things that people often say to me is, oh, we know that cakes need to be covered with sugar paste so that you can go on to further decorate them with hand piping or hand moulding or hand painted details, but the sugar paste itself, I don't like the flavour. Well, what I would say to you is, wow, this sugar paste has been flavoured with Madagascan vanilla. It has the most sumptuous, milky, fresh vanilla, natural vanilla flavour that just means that when you cover it with the cake, the scent, the aroma really imparts and adds a lovely flavour to whichever cake you go to decorate. I've used it on traditional rich fruit cakes, I've used it on soft vanilla cakes, I've used it on little individual cakes and even cookies. So its versatility is widespread and also is great for doing the hand moulded detail like making roses and making little hand moulded figurines. The sugar paste itself, when you take it out of the packet, the first thing you'll notice is it has the most wonderful texture. Now the nice thing about that is you don't need to add any extra icing sugar at this stage while you knead it. And it's important to knead the sugar paste because what this is doing is bringing up the ingredients that are in there, the little bit of vegetable oil, to ensure that it's nice and malleable and pliable so that as you roll it out and cover the cake, you don't get any of those notorious cracks around the surface, which is where most people tend to find they have issues. Air bubbles and cracks, those are the two things I'm always being asked about. So it can take a little while. You do need to sort of build up some work into it. So what I like to do is stand with one foot behind the other and literally rock forward and lean into it as I'm kneading. I'm pressing it round and turning it as I go. Turn the icing over. Now the reason I take this stage to brush my cake, which I'm using brandy, you can use brandy, you can use vodka, you can use cooled boiled water if you don't want to use alcohol. And the reason we brush the surface of the marzipan here is so that it will allow the icing to stick to the surface of the marzipan, but will also act as a very good antiseptic to prevent any mould growth that could occur between the layer of marzipan and sugar paste. So, liberally dust the work surface with icing sugar at this stage. I'm using a non-stick silicone rolling pin, lovely one that's nice and long so it'll cover even the largest of cakes, has no ridges or grooves in it and doesn't impart any temperature into the sugar paste, so it won't cool it down or affect it as I roll it out. And I'm going to use short sharp strokes forwards and then I'm going to turn my sugar paste a quarter turn and then short sharp strokes to continue. This way what I'm doing is ensuring that my icing is staying in a nice round shape. Once you've rolled it out to the size it needs to be to cover the cake, I just make sure that I rub my hands over to remove any excess icing sugar that would be there. And then with a smoother, just apply some pressure onto the surface of the sugar paste at this stage. And now to lift this over the cake, make sure it's free from the table and it's not sticking. Lift up with one hand here. With my other arm, I come down very flat like a fish slice almost, and then separate sideways like that. So I have now the sugar paste sitting over both hands and arms, but it's still very much in contact with the table, so I've not put any stress or stretching on it. And then I lift it up and over the surface of my cake and allow it to fall down gently, which expels any air bubbles, but also makes sure I have a nice even amount of sugar paste all the way around. The first thing I do is press the top edge on the sides all the way around. Very first thing. Haven't touched the surface, go there. And what that will do is help to eliminate any of the cracks that you get around this surface because we've stuck that there already and now there's no stretch or stress on the cake. And once I've made contact all the way around, I then trim the excess with a sharp blade so that I have around 1 to 2 centimetres all the way around. Remove the excess sugar paste and then put a knife up in under and lift that cake up off the table. It's sitting on a board the same size as the cake. And then with my smoother held vertically, with a combination of patting and smoothing, I take that sugar paste around the outside of the cake and down below the level of the cake. And what this is doing is ensuring that I get absolutely straight sides on my cake. They're absolutely perpendicular to the top and to the bottom. And this will ensure that when you come to pipe pearls or do any extra decoration around the side or fix a ribbon, they will sit nice and flush. And once you've got the nice straight sides, you hold the cake at eye level and you come in with a sharp blade and use the board that the cake is sitting on to slice away from you to ensure that you remove that excess, leaving a lovely straight edge on the cake and the sugar paste. So remove the excess like that, and then with my straight edge smoother, I just go around that cut edge to tuck all the crumbs of sugar paste in, just like that. Pop the cake onto the working board, and then with my two smoothers, I put my white one on the top, run my yellow one around the outside, the straight edge, the right angled one here, around the outside with the right angle in contact with the base of the cake. And the reason I'm doing this on this workboard now is I can apply pressure and make sure that those sides are really lovely and straight. And then using this smoother on the top, flatten the surface, make it nice and smooth. And then to finish, I use my hands, down the inside of my hands here, to just gently roll around the outside surface on the edge of that cake to bring the top and the sides together. Now that cake is perfectly covered. What you want to do is ensure that you allow this to dry overnight, to skin over, before you go on to do any of your further decoration.